is Antonio Rueda. On behalf of BAS University, let me welcome you to this session in which we will try to discuss in a quite informal way about the ChatGPT revolution and the impact of the AI in the field of code assistance. To overview the state of the art, we have with us three accredited experts and good people. I'm going to introduce them. Frankie Carrero is our data and AI director at BAS. Hi, Frankie.
Hi, thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. Carlos Nebrera, our technology director at BAS. Carlos, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Antonio.
And we have with us, although we cannot see him because he's connected through his mobile phone, Carlos Linares. Carlos is a professor and the director of the degree in computer engineering at the Universidad Carlos III. Hi, Carlos. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks to you for the invitation. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, in roughly about 30 minutes, our intention is to share with you some reflections about this exciting topic. You can write the questions you want.
I would like to make a reflection about the meaning of this kind of tools, because I'm sure that most of the people here today, most of the audience, have been programming for a long time, at least 5 years, maybe, or 10 years. So they have had an evolution in programming. They have seen an evolution in programming, but I've been programming for more than 30 years so far. So I started with really old environments when they had to compile the code manually, treat every error and bug one by one, and it was really slow and chaotic sometimes. And now we've come to a place where we can do amazing things with an assistant, an automatic assistant that can help us just by suggesting code, detecting bugs in the code, not just errors, to compiling errors, but I mean bugs because the code is not going to work as it should, and even it can write some chunks of code. So these are some of the things that we can do today, and for someone like me with this long experience, I just can say that this is amazing, even if it's just starting, and we still.
To clarify this, because it's important for the next questions I'm going to do, because if you consider how it works, I mean, it's really good. It can provide you crazy answers if you have tried the tool, ChatGPT or Copilot. I mean, sometimes it's like magic, like if he knows what you are thinking and what you want to do next. There's a couple of writing code from your comments and understanding the way you code and adapt, even the syntax that you are using, understand the syntax you normally use and copy the syntax. So it's really good, but what are the limitations of that? So, because it's pretty good doing many things, but in your experience working with it, where are the limits? So, because in some cases, it can fail in doing very simple things. And you won't expect them to fail, because you say, okay, it's solving me complex problems, why it's failing in such a simple task? So where have you found the main limitations and how they help you in your code bases?
I can say that these are statistical methods, and if I did, I was wrong. They are stochastical methods. And admittedly, by OpenAI, what they wrote actually in their white paper is that what they do is to compute the most likely response. So they admit, they openly admit that what they are doing is to analyze data and to provide the most likely continuation to your discourse. So you're talking, or for example, in the case that Carlos was mentioning right now, for example, if you write a comment saying, I want to add the first 100 numbers, then it actually tries to get the meaning of the sentence. And I think that at that point, that's pretty good. I mean, it really impresses me. Then from there, what it does is to provide you with a snippet which simply is very likely to be correct. This is what it learned from the statistical methods that it has been given to, for which it has been trained over teras and teras of data. I think that the main limitations when using this kind of techniques, I wouldn't like to turn philosophical, but from a practical point of view, I think that there are I will highlight a couple of them. First of all, if you think that what these systems actually do is to provide the most likely response and they are outstanding, this is an outstanding thing. So this is absolutely cool. But now the point is it true that the most common answer is the best one? So I think that this is actually most of the limitations from a technical point of view actually come or stem from this observation. Most of the times it does, but there are a number of papers of people, for example, complaining about security issues, about financial costs, or even ecological costs about the solutions provided automatically by these systems. Yes, only because they are providing common or standard solutions instead of trying to optimize the solution or to adapt or to tailor the solution they give to your question. And the other limitation I find is that, again, I don't want to turn philosophical, but one thing I, for example, see in my students a little bit frightened, not that they use this for copy, not at all, but the point that they might believe, or that people might believe when using these techniques, that the only available solutions are those given by these systems.
Yeah, I agree with you. The problem could become real. So for me, that is the situation. In my case, I'm not really a programmer anymore. I just do it at home because I don't have the time in my everyday job. But I think that it wouldn't be a problem for me. And in my case, I like to, it's like when I write an email, I read it 3 times or even more, and try to put in the header everyone who's going to receive the email, and try to see, to understand the email from different points of view. And I tend to do the same with the code.
Coming back to what you have been saying before about the privacy, we have in the early stages of these solutions. I mean, Copilot was launched in October of 2021. So, it seems impossible that the solution only has 1.5 years because it's really evolved very, very fast. But there are some problems to actually have a broad adoption of the technology. I think that they will be solved, but at the moment you have a privacy issue in 2 ways. First, you're using code from other people that may have copyright, and some solutions are trying to fix it, like the Amazon solution with Code Whisper, but it's not as powerful yet as Copilot. It will be great if these solutions can actually provide the code on the copyright. Like, this was written by this person, but since they are actually joining out of information, it's very hard to know exactly where the codes come from. So you have a first problem that it's copyright of code that it's in your program from other people. But you have another problem is if the code is not yours, for example, you are working in a client and the intellectual property of the code you are building is from your client, that code has to go to the Microsoft servers every time you write something for Copilot to work. And some clients are very afraid of that, because even if you have some options in Copilot for privacy, telling the system, okay, don't train your solution with my code, still your code is leaving your system, going to the servers of another company. You don't know what they are going to do with it. Your code may have some, very crazy things you don't want to share with anyone, or private stuff. So do you think that's something that is going to really be solved soon? Because many companies don't really want for their people to use Copilot for this reason. So I'm sure some of them are using Copilot at home without telling their company, and breaking somehow the relationship and the trust of their.
I think that this will be solved in the near future, because this is a question of law, and here there are 2 very different side views. Most importantly, the one in the United States and the other one in Europe, because Europe is trying to really create clear regulations for all those issues regarding privacy. For example, where some companies like Facebook or Google has no trouble in the United States operating, they actually got some trouble while operating the same way here in Europe. I think that on the other hand, this is not a simple issue. So I will actually bet that these limitations that actually Frankie was mentioning at the beginning of our chat, they are going to last for a number of years. That on one hand. And then on the other hand, there's one issue I'd like to mention regarding what Frankie said. finally, which is how to say this is, I mean, right now, the tendency, the trend in computer science for creating these systems consists of using as much data as possible. There is an abide in artificial intelligence which says there is no data, like more data. Even if in the last 20 years, many researchers actually prove that the same success ratios can be actually achieved by using like 100% of the data that is being currently used. So if the law still makes pressure regarding privacy issues and such, then I think that scientists will be forced to try to do something like what Frankie said, which is to try to get the same performance, but using much less data.